Why don't we talk about some what ifs? Because this has been a very healthy exercise for us all around here. It's just consequence free. It's not official predictions. We just kind of get to pop the knuckles a little bit and just baselessly and wildly speculate. For example, Patrick leads us off tonight. What if USC does not even play for the Pac-12 title? Well, Patrick, I can tell you right up front, the volume of Lincoln Riley hate would be turned from where it currently sits, roughly 9, to about 11 or 12. That would also be viewed as a regression, year 1 to year 2, because they made it last year. And I would imagine they're not making it because their defense, to quote Meemaw, could not stop molasses in December again. And if that's the case, and I think I threw out a similar scenario a couple of weeks ago, I think there would be massive defensive staff changes. I don't think Lincoln Riley would be able to avoid that at that point. And so, yeah, you'd have the immediate upfront criticism. I've got this path in my head where if USC does not make the Pac-12 championship game, they make staff moves and they're ultimately better for it, if that makes any sense. So it would not ease the hurt of 2023 underachievement, but there's this world. It's a narrow path, but there's this world where they underachieved this year, and it's almost like it was a necessary underachievement for Lincoln Riley to pull the lever that a lot of people think he should have already pulled, even at Oklahoma, and especially now out on the West Coast. And so we'll see. We'll see. They are the favorite currently to make the Pac-12 championship and win the Pac-12 championship. Next up, now this one's interesting. Sting hit us up. Loved him in his WCW days. Sting said, what if Ole Miss gets top 3 quarterback play in the SEC? It's an interesting quarterback time in the SEC. These SEC quarterback times. We got Spencer Sanders, who transferred there from Oklahoma State. We got Jackson Dart, who we figure will be the starter. Walker Howard transferred there from LSU. Whomstever is the starter. Let's just say it's Jackson Dart. Top 3 in the SEC, huh? So we got Jaden Daniels down there. I think he was preseason first team All-SEC. You got Spencer Rattler over there. Multiple Spencers in the conference, by the way. Wildly differing opinions on what Joe Milton is going to be. We have no clue who's starting for Alabama, nor does Nick Saban at the moment. Carson Beck, apparently in my home state of Georgia, they're just assuming 4,000 yards passing minimum from him. And you can go all over the conference. So you get my point there. Top 3 quarterback play in the SEC for Ole Miss this year would probably be good enough for them to be, there would be a contender in every game. I don't want to do the win-loss thing. I don't know. You guys do your own thing. We don't do that on this show. It's a recipe for exposure come December. That's what it is. I like to make as few definitive statements as possible. That's what I like to do. They've got at Alabama week 4. If they're getting quarterback play to that degree, they're going to win their first 3 games. They got at Alabama week 4, LSU week 5, and Arkansas week 6. And then they got the SEC schedule. They do go to Georgia in the East later in the year. Listen, Lane Kiffin's already tied an Ole Miss record, I think, for wins over the past 2 years. I think he would continue that trajectory. And it's not that I would think Ole Miss is headed to Atlanta necessarily. I'd wonder who they upset along the way. No one's picking Ole Miss to beat Georgia. People think about Georgia's schedule if they do get upset in the regular season, and they're saying, oh, that would be Tennessee, right? That would be at Tennessee, second to last week of the year. What if Ole Miss randomly pulls that off? If they're getting that kind of quarterback play, it would at least give them a puncher's chance. So that's and same with Alabama, same with all the other big games they play. Next up, Champaign, Illinois is where we're headed. And JC said, what if Illinois plays for the conference title? Now, initially, you listen to this and say, preposterous. You know how rarely we use that word on the show. It's really not, though. Colin, do we have anything? Yeah, so they're over under 6.5 wins. But the Big Ten championship odds, plus 2,000. So that's what you see. You see, they're not going to what? Because the prediction was not win the Big Ten. The prediction is play for the Big Ten title. I'm looking at their schedule right now. You know what Illinois doesn't have on their schedule? Ohio State. You know what else they suspiciously don't have on their schedule? And I'm making triply sure to scan right now. They don't have Michigan. All they've got to do is make the Big Ten championship game. for this to become a reality. The odds over there in the Big Ten West, it's like alphabet soup again. That's what it's looked like in recent history. There's no definitive favorite over there. Illinois had a great season last year. Actually, if they play for the Big Ten championship, there's the text from Cole Kubelik, right on cue. If they play for the Big Ten championship this year, you know what I'd start to ask myself? Is that a re-emerging market for Brett Bielema I see out there? What is happening? And then we would also be able to test my other theory about everyone in the Big Ten upping their game and either hiring or keeping high-level head coaches at the Tier 3 schools and the Tier 2 schools. I'm just saying there's a world, and you need to get your kids ready for it now. There's a world where if Illinois goes to the Big Ten championship game, there is a bidding war for Brett Bielema. You heard me right. A bidding war for Brett Bielema. A classic BBB. Whomst amongst us hasn't been a part of that a time or two. Lastly, on the what-if front, Walker is taking us down a road we don't want to go down, but we will. Just know it's on him, not us. Walker said, what if a Power 5 coach gets fired in September? We're taking a turn towards negative town. It's not even August yet. This would be Neil Brown at West Virginia, is my guess. I hate talking about this stuff. They had Big 12 media days, and he was talking about how disrespectful he thought it was that he was being picked to finish last and all the talk out there, and that's fine. I mean, it's going to be on you to prove it wrong. So as long as the season's going to arrive, I really don't care what anyone says in preseason, as long as you have to back it up one way or the other on the field in the fall. Here's what I know. The coaches I talk to that are familiar with the program don't think highly of it. Here's what else I know. I was around Troy when Neil Brown was there, and everyone loved him. So I thought he was going to do really good at West Virginia, and maybe he just hasn't been given enough time. I don't know, because it's not a program I'm intimately familiar with. I watch it just like you guys, but here's what I know. This prediction here, a Power 5 head coach gets fired before October, basically. If that were to happen, immediately I'm asking myself, all right, whose seat is already hot? Neil Brown, I think, according to everyone's opinion, would be on that list. Well, I look at their schedule. They open at Penn State. I do not expect them to win that game. They've got Pitt 2 weeks later, Texas Tech after that, and at TCU. Those are 3 extremely losable games that they have before October gets here. And you know what else they have the first week of October? A bye. And so if you're 2-3 coming out of September and there's a bye, and we've seen what the coaching market has shifted towards, and that is earlier terminations. It's happened to Scott Frost last year at Nebraska. It happened to Paul Chryst at Wisconsin. I don't like seeing it happen to anyone. I don't like talking about it, but if it's going to happen, if we just have that as an ironclad prediction, we have to guess where. My guess would be West Virginia.